Welcome to my YouTube channel. This month of March, we have been celebrating women. The International Women's Day was on Friday, the 8th of March. And here in the UK, we had Mother's Day on Sunday, the 10th. And because of that, I just wanted to talk about women who, through their courage, resilience, and a sense of purpose, and driven by their faith in God, made history. Today, I'm talking about trailblazers, women of faith who made history. Let's explore, the remarkable stories of these Christian women who defied expectations, they shattered barriers, and left an indelible mark on history. From courageous activists and visionary leaders to pioneering missionaries and devoted servants of God, these extraordinary women have inspired generations with their unwavering faith and bold contributions to the world. These women, they faced adversity with grace. They stood firm in their convictions, and they made a profound impact on their communities and beyond through their examples of resilience, compassion, and unwavering, commitment to God's calling and purpose. These women, they've left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire and empower us today. Let's talk about, first of all, Corrie ten Boom. Corrie ten Boom, born Cornelia Arnolda Johanna ten Boom on April the 15th of 1892 in Netherlands. She was a courageous woman who devoted her life to God. Along with her family, they risked their lives to save Jews during the Holocaust. Their remarkable story is chronicled in Corrie's autobiography. Read it if you haven't. The Hiding Place. Prior to World War II, the ten Boom family, they ran a watch repair shop in Haarlem, and they were devout Christians. They lived according to their faith, and they regularly opened their home to those in need, providing food, providing shelter, and spiritual guidance to anyone who sought help. As the Nazis occupied the Netherlands and began implementing anti-Semitic policies, the ten Boom family became increasingly concerned for their Jewish neighbors. They joined the Dutch resistance movement, hiding Jews and providing them with forged identity cards to help them escape deportation to concentration camps. My goodness. In 1943, the ten Boom family's secret activities were discovered, unfortunately, by the Gestapo, and they were arrested. Corrie, along with her father, Caspar, and her sister, Betsy, and other family members, they were sent to various concentration camps. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Despite the harsh conditions and cruelty they endured, Corrie and Betsy, her sister, they remained steadfast in their faith, providing comfort and hope to their fellow prisoners. Tragically, their father Caspar died shortly after his arrest. But Corrie and Betsy, they continued to share the message of God's love, forgiveness with those around them. And in the midst of unimaginable suffering, Corrie and Betsy, they clung to their belief in God's sovereign, divine purpose and his promise to never leave them nor forsake them. Betsy's unwavering faith and spirit of forgiveness, even towards their captors, it really impacted Corrie and inspired her to carry on their mission of spreading the love of God and compassion. Betsy died at the age of 59 at a concentration camp, unfortunately. But after the war ended, Corrie returned to the Netherlands and dedicated her life to sharing her story of faith, forgiveness, and hope. She traveled the world as a speaker and author, proclaiming the message of God's love and the power of forgiveness. To heal even the deepest wounds, Corrie did that. So her book, The Hiding Place, was published in 1971, and it brought her story to a wider audience, cementing her legacy as a beacon of light in the darkest of times. She passed away on April the 15th of 1983 on her 91st birthday. leaving behind a legacy of courage, a legacy of compassion and faith. And she continues to inspire generations. What a woman. I hope you're inspired by that. I am so inspired by this woman's courage and her bravery. Number 2, let's talk about Joan of Arc. My family and I recently visited Paris in France, and when we were there, we saw a statue of Joan of Arc. I got really excited because I remembered, the book that I read some years ago about her. She was a courageous woman in whom we can learn a lot about living out your purpose, despite the circumstances and so much resistance and adversity against you. Joan of Arc, also known as Jeanne d'Arc, I hope I've said it right, was a peasant girl born in Domremy, France, around 1412. She's one of history's most famous and enigmatic figures, known for her pivotal role in the 100 Years' War between France and England. Also, she was known for her unwavering faith in God. And at the age of 13, she began experiencing visions and hearing voices, which she later identified as Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. During their time, that's the people they knew then who were saints. These voices instructed her to support Charles, the King of France, and help expel English from French soil. In 1429, at the age of 17, Joan convinced local officials to allow her to travel to the French court at Chinon. She was a courageous woman. She gained an audience with King Charles and impressed him with her conviction and knowledge of her divine mission. She knew who she was. Charles provided her with a suit of armor and an army to lead, and Joan set out to lift the English siege of Orleans. Joan's leadership and courage proved instrumental in the lifting of the siege of Orleans in May 1429. And that was a turning point in the 100 Years of war. She continued to lead the French forces to victory in subsequent battles, inspiring soldiers and bolstering French morale. In July of 1429, King Charles was crowned King of France in Reims, and thanks in large part to Joan's efforts. However, her military successes eventually led to her capture by the Burgundians, who were allied with the English, in May of 1430. Joan was handed over to the English, who put her on trial for heresy and other charges. She was found guilty and sentenced to death by burning at the stake. On May 30, 1431, at the age of 19, she was executed in Rouen. She was just a child. Her steadfast faith in God made her a symbol of French nationalism and revered figure in Catholics' circle. She was later canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church, and she's now considered one of France's patron saints. Joan of Arc's story, it continues to captivate and to inspire people around the world, reflecting themes of courage, conviction, and the enduring power of faith in the face of adversity. Number 3, Harriet Tubman. The next woman, I first got introduced to her a couple of years ago when I watched a Netflix movie called Harriet. Her name is Harriet Tubman. I remember crying at the end of the movie from just watching, her passion, her courage, and her willingness to suffer for what she believed in. Harriet Tubman. She was born Araminta Ross in Dorchester County, Maryland, in the United States. She was born around 1822, and she was an African-American abolitionist and political activist known for her pivotal role in the Underground Railroad and her advocacy for the rights of enslaved individuals. She was born into slavery, and she endured the hardships of bondage from a young age, bless her. But in 1849, she made the courageous decision to escape to freedom, leaving her enslavement behind, and she embarked on a perilous journey northward over the course of several years. She made numerous trips back to the South, risking her life just so she can lead the enslaved individuals to freedom along the Underground Railroad, which was a network of secret routes and houses used by enslaved African Americans to escape to free states and to Canada. Tubman's exception of bravery and ingenuity nicknamed her Moses among those she helped to escape, drawing parallels to the biblical figure who led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. Despite the dangers posed by slave catchers and patrols, she successfully guided dozens of individuals to freedom, never losing a single passenger along the way. Wow. And during the Civil War, she served as a Union Army scout, as a nurse, as a spy, using her knowledge of the southern terrain and her network of contacts to provide valuable intelligence to Union forces. And after the war, she continued her advocacy for civil rights and social justice, working tirelessly to secure voting rights and land ownership for newly freed African Americans. She also championed women's suffrage, recognizing the connection of gender and race in the fight for equality. In her later years, Tubman settled in Auburn, New York, where she devoted herself to caring for the elderly and impoverished African Americans. She also became involved in the women's suffrage movement, speaking out for the rights of women to vote and participate fully in society. You know, when you are called to do something, even if the environment or, the season where you find yourself has changed, there's always something for you to do to help those who need your help because you can, because you have the ability to do so. And so Harriet Tubman did that. Even after, slavery finished, she still spoke for those who could not speak for themselves. She was posthumously honored with numerous awards and accolades, including the Congressional Gold Medal and the establishment of Harriet Tubman National Historical Park in her honor. Her life, it serves as a testament to the power of courage, resilience, and determination in the face of oppression and adversity. Her story should inspire us to be courageous, in the face of adversity. I am inspired. This reminds me of a dream that I had a few days ago. In this dream, an older relative said to me, "Why do you always have to, do this thing that you're doing? Why don't you just, sometimes just sit at the back and quietly come in and not be seen?" And in this dream, I remembered how I passionately said to him, "No, I can't. I have a purpose to fulfill." We all have a purpose to fulfill. God has given each and every one of us a purpose to fulfill, and only ourselves can hold us back from doing so. So don't do that to yourself. Believe in yourself, believe in your God-given purpose, and pursue it with all that you have. Number 4, Susanna Wesley. Susanna Wesley, she was born Susanna Annesley, I hope I've said it right, in 1669 in London, England. She was a devout Christian and the mother of John Wesley. Sound familiar? He was the founder of Methodism, and Charles Wesley, a prominent hymn writer. Susanna played a crucial role in shaping the Methodist movement through her devout faith, her strong leadership, and emphasis on spiritual discipline and education within her family. She was the youngest daughter of Reverend Dr. Samuel Annesley, a dissenting minister. And Mary White, her mom, she grew up in a household filled with theological discussions and religious fervor. She developed a deep and abiding faith from an early age. That's very encouraging for us mothers, really, to teach our children while they are still young. We should teach them the things of God. Let's never, ever take it for granted. Even when it seems like nothing is going in their little heads, the things that we teach them today, about God, when they are older, they will remember. And even if they have gone astray, away from the faith, they will always find their way back because of the teachings that we've taught them when they were young. Susanna received an extensive education, unusual for women of her time, and she became well-versed in theology, literature, and languages. Look at that. It was unusual for women at that time to be educated. But did you know when the hand of God is on your life, He makes the impossible happen for you. He makes ways where there seems to be no way. He opens doors for you that no man can shut. In 1688, Susanna married Samuel Wesley, a clergyman in the Church of England, and together they had 19 children, bless her. Although only 10 survived infancy. Despite facing financial struggles and the demands of a large family, Susanna remained steadfast in her commitment to her faith and her family. Susanna's home became a center of spiritual and intellectual activity where she educated her children in theology, in literature, and classical languages. She instilled in them a love of learning and a strong sense of moral and spiritual values. You know, her influence on her children was so profound, shaping the future direction of the Methodist movement through their teachings and writings. Throughout her life, Susanna faced numerous challenges, including the loss of several children, financial hardships, and conflicts within her family. Despite all these trials, she remained resilient and unwavering in her faith, finding solace and strength in prayer and scripture. She was a woman of God. Her commitment to God and her family left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire generations of Christians. Her emphasis on spiritual discipline, education, and devotion to God's word laid the foundation for the Wesleyan tradition and the Methodist movement, which has had a profound impact on Christianity around the world. Susanna Wesley. She passed away on July the 23rd of 1742, leaving behind a legacy of faith, of courage, and devotion to God that continues to inspire and uplift people of faith to this day. Her contributions to Christianity, to Christian educating and spiritual formation have earned her a place of honor in the annals of Christian history. We are so grateful for your life, Susanna. Thank you. Number 5. Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth, born Isabella Bonfrey around 1797, New York in the United States. She was an African-American abolitionist and women's rights activist, best known for her powerful speeches and advocacy for social justice. Once again, her life story is a testament to resilience, to courage, and the pursuit of freedom and equality. Born into slavery, she endured the horrors of bondage from a young age. She was sold multiple times and subjected to physical and emotional abuse. Poor child. Despite the hardships she faced, she developed a strong sense of faith, and a determination to seek freedom. So in 1826, she escaped slavery with her infant daughter Sophia, seeking refuge with a Quaker family. She later learned that her 5-year-old son Peter had been illegally sold to a slave owner in Alabama. She took legal action to recover her son. She just was not one of those who just sat down and watch her life crumble and not do anything about it. She did something about it. And then after gaining her freedom, Isabella took the name Sojourner Truth and embarked on a lifelong mission to advocate for the abolition of slavery and the rise of African Americans, and also for women. She became a powerful orator, captivating audience with her impassioned speeches and her commanding presence. One of Sojourner Truth's most famous speeches is called "Ain't I a Woman?", delivered at the Women's Rights Convention in Akron, in Ohio in 1851, challenged prevailing notions of gender and race. In her speech, she argued for the equality of women, emphasizing her own strength and resilience as an African American woman. So just listen to that speech here as performed by the one and only Kerry Washington. Have a listen.
In 1851, the black abolitionist and former slave Sojourner Truth spoke to a gathering of feminists in Akron, Ohio. The spontaneous speech, only a few minutes long, was a landmark moment in feminist and abolitionist history.
Well, children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women at the North all talking about rights, the white man gonna be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as any man when I could get it. And I could bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children, seen most sold off into slavery. And when I cried out with a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? And they talk about this thing in the head. What is it they call it? Oh, that's right, yeah, intellect. That's it, honey. Well, what's that got to do with women's rights and Negroes' rights? If my cup won't hold but a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half measure full? That man in the back there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Well, where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? He came from God and a woman. Man didn't have nothing to do with it. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, well, these women here together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And they asking to do it. The men better let them.
That was powerful, wasn't it? Thanks, Carrie, for, narrating it so well. Sojourner Truth worked tirelessly to support Union troops and to secure food and supplies for freedmen and refugees. She also met with President Abraham Lincoln to advocate for African American soldiers and to urge him to support the abolition of slavery. After the war, she continued her activism, speaking out against racial injustice and advocating for land rights and education for formerly enslaved individuals. She spent her later years traveling and speaking across the country, spreading her message of freedom, her message of equality and justice. Her legacy as a fearless freedom fighter and advocate for social justice continues to inspire people today. And her life story, it serves as a reminder of the power of perseverance, the power of faith and determination in the face of adversity, and her contributions to the abolitionist and women's rights movement. It has left an indelible mark on history. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me on this journey, through history as we celebrate the incredible achievements and enduring legacies of these trailblazers. These trailblazing women of faith. May their stories continue to inspire, to empower us, and to make a difference in our own time, and to leave a legacy of love, of hope, and faith for generations to come. Remember, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and with faith as our guide, there is no limit to what we can achieve. So until next time, may you be blessed and inspired to be a trailblazer in your own right, because you can. Thank you so much. Goodbye and see you soon. Bye-bye.